Hey, g'day everybody, Scarvig here, and today I am going to be talking about the state of Atlas at the end of 2021. So, what is Atlas? Well, Atlas is an open world survival game set with a pirate theme. Players team up in groups called companies to build and sail their own ships, and they crew them with either other players or NPCs, and then team up to do battle with other crews. You get experience, level up, and unlock various skills. You can discover islands, you can tame wild creatures, you can fight armies of the damned, and, general searching and digging up of treasure. Atlas is being developed by a company called Grapeshot Games, which is a sister company to Wildcard Studios, which made Ark Survival Evolved. And initially it was actually members of the Ark Survival Evolved development team that actually started the Atlas game itself. Atlas was released into early access almost 3 years ago, on the 23rd of December 2018. The project since then was plagued with many issues, of which people who have watched the history would know plenty about, but it was basically developers that seemed to have abandoned the community, releases and patches that basically broke more things than they fixed, so on and so forth. However, in the last year or so, there's been a major shift, and in today's episode I want to actually go through some of those and just really discuss where things are starting to shift within the game. Introducing Redbeard and the team. As of about the 2nd of December, Redbeard has started engaging the community on the official Discord, posting just about every day except on weekends, answering people's questions, giving people insight into the decision making, allowing people to give him direct feedback, which has actually resulted in actual change to the settings within the game itself. And it's been a real switch to how the community engagement has been seen in such a long time, and a very welcome one at that. But we're going to go through a number of Redbeard's posts to give people a bit of an insight into where things are in the state of Atlas. The first thing that I will touch on will hopefully set the theme for the rest of the video, and is really for those people who have had a problem with the development in the past and the community engagement. Redbeard has come out and said it is public knowledge that there is no one on the team that was an original developer for the project. That means everybody that's working on the game at this point in time has had nothing to do with a lot of the problems from the years past. And all they're looking for, they're not asking for any faith, but they do ask for a little bit of patience and assistance. And we will see a fair bit of that as we go through a number of the posts. Following on from this, Redbeard basically stated that the early access release ended up being a really bad experience, and that he is here to make sure that once they actually release post early access, that the game is where it needs to be. Since then, probably around the 11th of December, after Redbeard started posting from about the 2nd of December, some of the compliments started rolling in about how people are starting to be very appreciative of the fact that he'd spent nearly every day outside of weekends on the Discord answering people's questions, and people were very happy about having that happen. So outside of the past and where we are now, we basically just went through a major release onto the live servers, and quite a number of things went wrong. They were basically missing crafting items within the system, there were boats that were basically traveling too fast, you would cross grids and creatures would fall off the boats, things would just disappear, and generally not very nice time at all. And Redbeard directly put down the reasons why the short wipe is now occurring. He's saying that the servers are trashed, the boats are jacked to high hell, there are definitely Xbox memory issues all over the place, and that they need to wipe out the bad data. So let's have a look at some of the issues and the commentary that has gone on around them. The first of which was probably the Xbox, is the main one that I've seen a lot of complaints around. They've basically identified it as a memory leak issue. The main problem has been that it is inconsistent, not even just across the series. So you got your Series X, which is probably one of the more stable ones, the Xbox Series S, which is the most unstable. Fixes that works for the other series do not work for the Series X, and even then within each of the series the problems are even then still inconsistent, and so they're finding it very difficult to actually provide a fix that stabilizes the Xbox players. But the takeaway here is that they know that there's a problem, they are definitely investigating, and hopefully they'll be able to nail it down, and the Xbox players will be able to at least have a bit of a stable experience going forward. Next up, let's talk about the Ballista. And at one point the Ballista just disappeared completely from the game. And it wasn't just the fact that the baluster went missing that complicated everything. You would think that the baluster and putting it back in would actually be fine, but what they were worried about is if they put the baluster back in, it would actually cause something else to vanish. And there was something going on under the bonnet that was actually causing it. Because at one point the smithy was missing, at one point there was other items that were missing from the game. Even the crafting items, you would actually go to the smithy and try and make something. Even though you knew how to make it, it wouldn't be there. But you recraft the smithy and all of a sudden it would turn back up again. And those issues appeared to be under the bonnet, and they attributed to the fact that the wipe was necessary to also help fix this and try and resolve that underlying problem that was actually causing things to vanish. Let's move on from the problems and start having a look at the features that may or may not come up in the future. The thing that I would say here is that if you see something that I'm talking about that you have some ideas about that you'd like to lend to here, make sure that you go to the official Discord and have a look at the feedback and the suggestion channels that they've created. If you get enough thumbs up in those two chat channels, the developers have said that they're going to look at the most popular ideas that turn up there, and they will look at seeing how they can be implemented. So if you see something that I'm talking about now that you have strong feelings about, let me know in a comment that you'd like it to go up there, or go and visit the official Discord yourself and put a comment up about what the feature or feedback is that you'd like to put up. So here are some of the things that have been talked about. With the company size limits, they want the massive sea fights again, which means larger companies. However, they need more data from the player base before they can actually change anything related to this. They don't like the way that harbour raids are also done. They actually don't like how the islands end up being locked in by fences and dock spam and all the rest of it, but they don't really have a solution. They need to figure out some kind of a compromise. So again, if you have ideas, go and chuck them up. They introduced the idea of a new item called a Diamond Catalyst or a Diamond Cataclysm. The idea of this item was something that would help you take out your really, really good ship and sail it freely with your best without risking too much. So I'm guessing it will be some kind of an insurance scheme where if you take your best thing out and you've got a Diamond Catalyst, you can insure your ship, you lose it, and somehow you get it back. That's something that's coming maybe next year sometime, so again that's something that's well into the future. Stuff that maybe they'd like to add, they're looking at potentially more castles, more customization options, more modules, new ships, new types of modular ships that make sea travel much easier. And they even talked about different sizes. So the current sizes are the medium class, where the cog is the small class, and they have plans for large ships that will directly rival the galleon. And I even had my own thing in there where I already knew that modular ships are going to have more customizations. So the old ships you can build from a skeleton up, and currently we don't have that with the modular system, but they've said that's where it wants to go. Redbeard agreed and basically said yes, they're redesigning the things from the bottom up, basically to make them more customizable. Someone had commented more on that. Basically they'd prefer to have, you know, where's all the drain happening on the ships. Having these buildable ships is actually the draw card for a lot of people. And Redbeard has acknowledged that the original boats are significantly bad for the server. You know, the original boats are 500% worse than the current modular boats that they're actually building now. And lastly, they basically mentioned a little bit about a long-term theme. And they're looking at the portal art and they're trying to adjust it to their theme better, as they actually have long-term lore and themes that they want the portals to fit into. And there's probably a little keyword in there of lore. And the fact that they're actually looking at lore, I'm actually very happy about, as it's always nice to actually have that little bit of a, you know, what is it that the world is actually all about? And we don't currently have that. At the moment, it's just the open world survival. Having a bit of a lore, having a bit of a theme will be nice. Alright, almost to the end. Next up, let's have a look at gold. Basically, they put a gold cost onto the ships to try and basically make people work towards getting their ships and feel a sense of accomplishment for getting them. However, there's just been a lot of feedback saying that people don't like the gold cost on ships, and Redbeard has acknowledged that and decided to remove the gold cost from the ships in the coming wipe. In return, he'd like to see more sea fights. However, if there are more performance issues due to the fact that you've got those older ships which are causing problems, they will have to change something, but for now they're going to run with it. Well, that brings us to the end, and I'd like to leave you with a few words of what to expect from Redbeard. Yes, things are changing, but I have to be 100% honest, it will not all change overnight. This stuff takes a while, changes will be made, and it's going to be quite an interesting time for us. I just want to reiterate, with 1 week until the wipe, we are doing all we can to get fixes in, the smaller modifications made, and server stability made. More fixes, changes, and community suggestions will be in all subsequent patches. We are working in a way to get the bugs list, progress list, publicly visible. There is no shade. Before I head out, please don't have too high expectations for the first few weeks of this patch. Stable servers and not broken ships is what we are truly trying to fix. All the rest of it is still coming. I don't want you all to be in there next week like, shit's on fire, stupid devs can't fix anything. Yes, it will still be broken. That's why we're here working on it now. Aside from Redbeard's comments, in terms of my own feedback on how things are, I'm particularly happy with the shift of direction of how the developers are now doing a bit more community engagement. I really like the way the QAs were done in the past, and they've said that they will start doing them again, which will also be fantastic. And I guess the only thing that we need to see at this point is if we can get that server stability, if we can actually have those fixes on the ships. Some of the modular ships are actually looking quite good, except for the fact that the look and feel is a little bit of plain. But then if they end up bringing in the customizations for the modular ships, which brings them more into line with what the existing ships were, but obviously with less of a server impact, then once we get that customization and build your own ship from a skeleton up, then that will end up probably making a lot of people on different sides of the fences quite happy. And that's really what I want to actually see, I guess, as the next step over the next couple of months going forward. Not necessarily the next wipe, as they've acknowledged that they're only looking at a few things that they need to nail to actually get right for this next wipe. And so it's possibly the wipe subsequent to that that we'll be then looking at some of the other features, and if they end up delivering well, then it's going to make the player base quite happy, and they'll actually see that the developers are actually delivering on what all that they've been saying so far. And that would be a very, very good thing to see. Anyway, my name is Skarbig. I hope that you have enjoyed this little bit of a feedback on the state of play of Atlas. If you did enjoy this video, make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe. Definitely leave me a comment down below of what you think about the direction of Atlas and where things are going. Otherwise, hopefully I will see you on the server. I'm planning on playing on the PvE server at this stage. And yeah, let me know what you think about it all. Thanks for listening in, and I'll catch you in the next one.